If a natural disaster hit tomorrow, would your finances survive it? Because once it's over or the storm passes, the bills still show up. And that's the part no one warned you about.
In this episode, we're not talking about storm shutters or sandbags.
We're talking about how to financially prepare before a natural disaster so you're not scrambling after the fact.
My name is Dan.
My name is Kelly.
Today, we're going to give you tips about preparing for a natural disaster.
First, you need to protect access to your money when power and internet are down. Question: when you pay for something, how do you pay?
Usually not cash.
Do you tap?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, exactly. We can't tap when all of those things are down. So we need to make sure that we've got some cash on hand. And it's not about having a ton of money, it's about having access to your money. So you actually only need a small amount of cash on hand. It's usually recommended $200 to $500, and you don't want a lot of large bills.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard about a friend who has that cash inventory in their house, and then what they do to break it up into smaller bills is they go to the store, they use it to make purchases, and then they keep the smaller bills so that you have access to that throughout the storm.
That's smart. So they bring the change home, don't spend it, and have those smaller bills. And you also want to make sure that you have access to your mobile banking and your alerts in advance. So make sure those are set up before the storm or the natural disaster hits so you can monitor your accounts remotely if you do have access.
It's really important that you learn how to safeguard your financial and legal documents properly. You want to make sure that they are in a waterproof container, and that you have set aside all the important documents that you might need, because it's really hard to sometimes recover that after a loss.
And there's this really good idea. Tell me the story you told me about home inventory, keeping track of what you have in your house.
Yeah, so I know a person who what they do is once a year, they have it on the calendar to take out their phone and video all their inventory that they have throughout the house. And that way, if there's ever a total loss, there's no back and forth with the insurance company about how many big screen TVs they had or what kind of jewelry they had. You know, they have that all on the video.
And not just the items that you own and that you'd want to replace, but you need to have access to like medical information, medical records, anything regarding your prescriptions, because you might need to access those things too and get help to get those filled in a different way than you're used to. It's not going to automatically show up on your door during a disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you have a mortgage and you have homeowners insurance that maybe you lost some paperwork to, well, you can actually call your mortgage company and they will actually be able to provide you copies if you need it to your homeowner's insurance, or help you at least give you the information to your policy so that you can contact the insurance company yourself.
The other thing that's really important is understanding your insurance, not just having a copy of it, but understanding it, how it works. Your insurance shouldn't be a surprise to you at the point that you need to use it. You should understand it in advance. And homeowners insurance, it typically doesn't cover flood damage. And a lot of times it doesn't cover wind. You need to have separate policies. So make sure you understand that in advance. Make sure that you know what to expect and if you need additional coverage based on where you live and what might occur in your area.
Yeah, absolutely. So a flood policy works differently. The way someone explained it to me one time that I found very helpful was flood is anything that comes from the ground up. But anything that comes from the sky, like rainwater, that is actually covered in a normal homeowner's insurance policy.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it. That makes it easy. Next, let's talk about renters. We can't forget about them. Not everybody's living in a home that they own. Renters need to protect themselves as well. And the exterior is protected, but what do they need to do about the stuff inside? Their thing.
Your landlord's homeowner's insurance policy covers the structure of the home. It does not cover your stuff. So if you're worried about losing your stuff in a natural disaster, then it's important that you get your own renter's policy.
Now we're going to talk about one of the really unfun things about a natural disaster. It can disrupt your paycheck. It can keep you from going to work because of closures. You might not be able to travel to work. It can delay the mail. How do you get ahead of these issues? You start listing your recurring bills and due dates. You set up automatic payments whenever possible. And most importantly, you need to prioritize essential expenses, because if funds get tight due to those workplace closures, your paycheck not arriving, you can cover what you need to cover.
It is really important that you know your insurance information ahead of time. You can get that from your mortgage lender, or you can get that directly from the insurance company. And if you do find yourself in a financial hardship because of whatever natural disaster occurred in your area, well, then you can also reach out to those companies and set something up to give you some relief.
So they can probably help you out.
Absolutely.
But you know what else can help us out? Emergency savings.
Absolutely.
Do you want to talk about that?
It's important that you have an emergency savings account, at least with $1,000 in it. It helps keep essentials covered, and it helps you avoid debt and making this disaster worse than it needs to be.
I totally agree with you. Next, we don't want you to panic buy. Who has been in the situation where you go into the store and you really need the toilet paper and you look down that aisle and it is completely empty? Don't panic buy. When a storm or natural disaster is coming, it's easy to feel like you need everything. You have to get everything that's on the shelf because it might be the last one ever. But overbuying can create stress before the storm even arrives, and that creates stress on your budget, and it creates stress for other people who need the thing too.
It sure does. I know that whenever hurricane season comes here in Florida, I always get real tempted to go to Home Depot and buy a really nice generator. And then I remind myself, no, I probably don't need that really nice generator. I can hold out by having my food supplies for a few days.
And it's also good to know the American Red Cross recommends a 3-day supply of non-perishable food. So don't stock up like you have to live in that house for a month without going out. So 3 days to 2 weeks if you're sheltering at home. More than that usually ends up unused, or worse, it's going to put unnecessary pressure on your budget or get thrown away. Okay, I have to tell you a story. When I was growing up, we had a natural disaster on the way. It was a hurricane in this situation. And my dad, it was the first one we experienced. He filled every bathtub up with water. He got 5-gallon buckets. He bought 5-gallon buckets, so he used money for that to fill them up with water. And then he said he was going to go to the store and get everything we would need in case we couldn't leave. We would have food for our family of 4. He comes back, and my mom and I start unpacking the bags, and we're like, we won't eat any of this. What did you buy? He got all these really weird, long shelf life canned items that we're never going to eat. And I kid you not, when we were packing up that house moving out, probably 6 to 8 years later, we were still finding cans of sardines. Buy what you think you would need and don't overbuy.
Yeah, that's something that I'm adamant about. I will only buy canned food or boxed food that I'm going to actually eat, so that once the disaster passes, before it expires, my family will get to that supply, and then we'll eat it and then replenish it when it's done.
So something they actually like and you would
Right.
use normally. That makes sense. So you don't need 10 cases of water, the generator like you mentioned that you'll never use. If it's not something you use in everyday life, it probably doesn't belong in your cart.
Preparing shouldn't create new financial problems. Overspending, emergency purchases on a credit card can drastically make your situation even more stressful. So we want to avoid that. Do smart preparation. I love filling up my propane tanks for my gas grill. I fill up my cars with gasoline. And doing those basic things that you'll need to do anyway, are really helpful.
Being financially prepared doesn't mean you expect the worst. It means knowing that even when life gets unpredictable, your money isn't.
Today, I would make sure that all my documents are secure. And I would also make sure that I had enough food supply to last 2 to 5 days, as you suggested, as well as make sure my cash reserves are intact with small bills.
So thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
We'll see you next time.